You know what just happened? David Schwartz basically confirmed what we've all been watching unfold right before our eyes. Traditional finance? Yeah, digital assets are about to completely take over that space. And here's the thing, we're not just watching from the sidelines anymore. We're in this thing together. But that's just the beginning of what I've got for you today. The ETF world is absolutely buzzing right now, and there's so much to unpack. Bitwise pulled the trigger on their launch today, and I'm going to give you the full breakdown, every bit of it. We've also got Jake Claver back with another clip that's worth your attention. Plus, David Schwartz's space today? Man, there were some real gems dropped in there that we need to talk about. So, enough setup, let's get into the meat of this whole thing right now. Take a listen to this.
I think what's going to happen is over the next couple of years, that institutional adoption is going to make possible a mass retail adoption. I think you're going to see blockchain technologies replacing significant fractions of traditional finance for ordinary people as soon as it can provide the products and services that they need. If you think about what the financial products and services people need, like they need loans, they need sensible investments. As soon as blockchains can provide that, I think people will see the benefit of having a sort of open system, kind of like how the internet replaced proprietary information, movement systems. So I think we're going to see that growth of retail DeFi just turbocharged by the enterprise adoption we're seeing now.
So look, once lending and borrowing and all these classic Web 2 tools start flowing through Web 3, you need to pay attention to what's actually powering everything behind the scenes, those gas tokens. XRP, Ethereum, Solana, they're not just tech anymore. They're becoming the actual money people transact with daily. That's where this is all headed. Now, here's what blows my mind. Everything in crypto that's positioned for mass adoption, dirt cheap right now, seriously undervalued. Fast forward a decade, maybe even just 5 years, and what do you think Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Chainlink are trading for? Numbers that'll make today's prices look like pocket change. It's almost guaranteed to play out that way. But I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Success leaves a trail of failures behind it, always has. You know what separates the winners from the noise? Strong communities rallying behind them. Cash reserves deep enough to keep teams building and pushing into fresh territory. Those factors aren't optional, they're make or break. And when the dust settles, maybe 3, 4, 5 projects tops will actually crack that multi-trillion-dollar ceiling. The rest, they won't make it. Ribble's got my vote as one of those elite few. Now, Unknown DLT just shared something wild. 15 million XRP for Canary and Bitwise XRP ETFs tomorrow. Imagine the names are Franklin Templeton, BlackRock, or Vanguard. Most people are unaware of this, and unfortunately, many have sold their XRP today. Look, your money, your choice. I'm not here to boss anyone around, but let me paint you a picture if you're thinking about cashing out now and maybe sneaking back in later when it feels safer. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knows exactly when the dam breaks. Could be tomorrow when some regulation passes. Could be next week when BlackRock wakes up and decides to announce their ETF. You really think you're going to catch that exact moment and buy back in at the perfect price? That's a gamble I wouldn't take. So what am I doing? Well, I can't give you orders, but I can show you my playbook. Every chance I get, I'm grabbing more XRP. Drops in price? Perfect, loading up. Shoots higher? Doesn't matter, still adding to the pile. Basically anything south of $5, maybe $10, I'm treating like a clearance sale. My reasoning? This asset's going to explode in value eventually, and I want to be holding when it does. Feeling shaky about your next move? Totally fair. Go find yourself a financial advisor. But here's the catch. Make absolutely certain they actually get digital assets. Not someone who's still confused about what blockchain even means. Chad drops this insight. The first year to 2 years will be aggressive growth for the spot crypto XRP ETFs. The average is the most important number because the average will be up. Use Bitcoin as an example. 12 funds on average, each requiring 3 million XRP per day, 36 million XRP total per day. So check this out. When we look at the IBIT Bitcoin inflows right here, you're going to notice something absolutely nuts. Watch how this thing just skyrockets over the timeline. All those wild swings, those massive pumps and dumps you're seeing, that's institutional money at work. Big players moving serious capital around day in and day out. I wanted to get this chart up because there's actually some valuable stuff we can extract if we really examine what's happening here. Institutional demand and supply impact. Multiple XRP ETFs are requiring 36 million XRP daily, would require nearly 8.64 billion per 1 year. Analysts warn that combined ETF demand, if sustained, could consume almost all liquid XRP within 1 year, competing directly with retail and existing institutional holders. And that's got everyone talking. Who's going to crack under pressure first? When push comes to shove, are these institutions going to be the first ones rushing for the exit? Are regular investors going to panic sell first? But what if neither side budges, right? What happens when there's literally no XRP left floating around to buy? The price multiplier for XRP could go absolutely bonkers. When you stack regulation on top of adoption, then layer in tokenization, the EVM sidechain, stablecoins, and everything Ripple's cooking up with government treasuries, Hidden Road, which is basically Ripple Prime, we're talking numbers that could genuinely blow your mind. That's the scenario we're all watching for here. Now, speaking of numbers, let me show you what rolled in today with Canary and Bitwise. These are the final tallies. Canary pulled in roughly 17 million, while Bitwise grabbed about 25 million. Interestingly enough, Canary actually doubled what they managed on launch day compared to what Bitwise did. But here's the thing. When you combine both of them, we're sitting at around $42, $43 million flowing in. The hope is this demand just keeps climbing. Picture this, another 5, 6, maybe 7 ETFs get the green light. Combine all that firepower and suddenly you're looking at hundreds of millions pouring in every single day. That's when things could really shift into overdrive. Here's why the price hasn't gone ballistic yet. Most of this buying is happening behind closed doors through over-the-counter deals and dark pools. When those sources run dry, that's when they'll be scrambling to grab whatever XRP they can find on public exchanges. Now here's a stat that'll make you raise an eyebrow. The Canary XRP ETF is 360 times bigger than their Sol ETF. You know all those people constantly hyping up Solana as the superior blockchain? The data paints a completely different picture. We're talking about the same fund manager running both products side by side, XRP versus Solana. One's absolutely dominating while the other's struggling to gain traction. Reality check delivered. Chad breaks it down like this. These first day's launches, not the news events. They are in perpetuity from today to forever. Single-minded is focused within the one goal, become as big as possible, acquire as much as they can every day from now on. I've also got a quick clip queued up that I recorded just moments ago. Let me throw that on screen. Rolling now. Listen to this.
If you hold Bitcoin, any counter narrative to Bitcoin you perceive as like a threat to your bottom line. And so I think there was that early tribalism. I think that's going away now. I think people realize that like if you want the ecosystem is going to have to succeed. Just like there couldn't be a world where there's only one successful internet company. It's almost inconceivable that there's a world where there's only one successful blockchain or only one successful DeFi. It's just inconceivable. It's either the space is going to succeed or it's not. And I think people are realizing that the space is going to succeed. I think XRP occupies a unique niche kind of between Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, XRP is the first blockchain built on anything that wasn't a clone of Bitcoin or Bitcoin itself, dates back to 2012. Doesn't use proof of work, it uses what we now call proof of association. It was the first ledger to have tokenized assets at the time called issued assets used for things like stablecoins. It has a native decentralized exchange to allow people to move between assets. I think the value proposition of the XRP ledger for XRP is a curated set of financial primitives. So rather than the sort of free-for-all of platforms with smart contracts or the very, very limited functionality of something like Bitcoin, the XRP ledger has a set of financial primitives to provide useful services. We see it as a public good. We see it as something that you sort of can't partition off or own. And these features include things like escrow, decentralized identifiers, decentralized exchange, and so on. And so it's a platform for enterprises to do business. So XRP has a unique position on the XRP ledger. It's the only asset that you can use to pay fees. It's the only asset that everyone can hold. It's the only asset without a counterparty. It's used as a bridge asset when two tokens don't have a direct trading pair. So if you're trading between two assets where there aren't a whole bunch of people who want to trade in the other direction, the network will automatically route the trade through XRP to improve speed or pricing. You don't necessarily see it as a user, but XRP does work behind the scenes to make those markets more efficient. And you see that as an XRP holder in the form of increased liquidity and increased ability to trade.
Looking ahead in 5 years' time, where do you both see XRP ultimately fitting into the global financial stack?
I think what's going to happen is over the next couple of years, that institutional adoption is going to make possible a mass retail adoption. I think you're going to see blockchain technologies replacing significant fractions of traditional finance for ordinary people as soon as it can provide the products and services that they need. If you think about what the financial products and services people need, like they need loans, they need sensible investments. As soon as blockchains can provide that, I think people will see the benefit of having a sort of open system, kind of like how the internet replaced proprietary information, movement systems. So I think we're going to see that growth of retail DeFi just turbocharged by the enterprise adoption we're seeing now.
I couldn't wait to share this with you, which is why I jumped straight into it. Jake Claver's up next. Listen to this one.
There's a lot of other good blockchains out there. So to your point, why would you choose XRP? Well, the lawsuit. Until we have the Clarity Act passed, which is now been kicked down the road because of the government shutdown, we really don't have clarity on these networks and how they're going to be treated as far as taxes or if they're commodities or currencies. We don't have designations for them. We know that the SEC has now moved to a favorable stance on the asset class as a whole, but the only asset that has full clarity as not a security is XRP. And so it's my belief that if there is a liquidity crisis prior to that bill being passed, the only option that they're going to have, if there's also enough liquidity in the asset, is going to be XRP.
Abs host, Johnny833. Hang tight. I'm currently scouring for this video so I can piece together some longer clips worth watching. Standard Chartered CFO warns that Bitcoin and digital assets will transform global finance. Consider the source here. We're hearing from a C-suite executive running finances at one of the world's banking giants. This is worth tuning in for. Take a listen.
The game here is understanding. These digital assets have the ability to change the payment landscape of the world, and we need to be ready. We, the regulators, the world needs to be ready for a new wave of technology.
A breakthrough shift in how technology works. No question about it. Now check this. Institutions agree. Tokenization is the future of finance. We asked MasterCard, Standard Chartered, Bain & Company, Boris Stuttgart Group, Stellar, OKX, Fireblocks, Zodia21X, whether tokenization is a fad or the future. Let's listen to what they said.
Future.
Future. Future. Future. Future with a side of present. Future. Future. Future.
It's definitely not a fad.
Tokenization is definitely the future. That's the way for the traditional finance to enter their digital asset space.
Definitely future, because it's the future of capital markets.
Simply because the world is digital, you look at kind of new generations, we're moving away from bank accounts to wallets.
The genie is out of the bottle. I don't think that we are going back to the pre-tokenization world.
And tokenization needs to happen.
It's a future that holds a lot of promise. I think crypto started the story. Tokenized assets will write the next chapters.
You catch that? Not a single person up there called it a fad. Zero. And these aren't just random people. We're talking about the folks running some of the most powerful institutions you can imagine. Here's the thing we all need to get comfortable with. Sure, crypto markets are wild and unpredictable right now. Total roller coaster. But the destination? That part's crystal clear. We're heading toward a complete transformation of finance and global connection. Picture this. Moving money across continents instantly, buying and selling property, artwork, event passes, literally anything you can think of. Every single thing around you will eventually live on the blockchain in some shape or form. What a time to be jumping into digital assets, right? You're sitting on opportunities that most of the world hasn't even discovered yet. The majority of people are glued to their screens watching whatever controversy is blowing up today. And here you are, locked in, absorbing knowledge, getting ahead of the curve. You're building yourself up right now, setting the foundation for what's ahead. And listen, when you've got the right digital assets in your corner, We're potentially talking about lifetime security here. Imagine never checking your bank balance nervously again. Never calculating if you can afford groceries and rent in the same week. Sure, money won't fix every problem you've got. We all know that. But wow, does it take a massive weight off your shoulders. Okay, friends, I'm closing this one out. Honestly, just grateful you clicked on this video and stuck around. You rock. Now go make today awesome. I'll be back with more soon.